Welcome back, everyone, to Grifter or Gifted. You know the drill by now. We take a deep dive into the careers of some of today's most polarizing figures to try to answer one very simple question.
Grifter or gifted?
Exactly. And today,
Buckle up.
today's a wild one.
It's a doozy.
We are talking about Mr. Sam Pepper.
Oh boy, Sam Pepper.
So if that name doesn't ring a bell, you might know him from
A few places,
a
actually.
few different things. Yeah, he was on Big Brother UK back in 2010,
Right, way back when.
back in the day. And then he kind of exploded on YouTube as a prankster.
Became very well known for his pranks, for sure.
Yeah, and I think
Some of them good, some of them.
not so good.
Yeah, we're going to unpack all of that.
We're going to dive into all of that today.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of material to go through. We've got articles, social media posts, news reports, all sorts of things.
We've got it all.
So get ready to go down the Sam Pepper rabbit hole, because this one is going to be a wild ride.
Absolutely. And I think what's so interesting about Sam Pepper is this constant tension between his charisma. I mean, he's undeniably charismatic.
Yes, very charming.
Very charming, very washable, and he pushes boundaries, and sometimes those boundaries go way too far.
Yeah, is that
That line.
that fine line?
Yeah, that's exactly what this show is all about, right? Trying to figure out, is this someone who's genuinely trying to make a mark, leave their stamp on the world?
Or are they just taking advantage of the system?
Exactly, and we're going to try to unpack that with Sam Pepper.
Yeah, so let's go all the way back to the beginning, like pre all of the scandals and the, allegations and everything.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah, back in the day, he was on Big Brother UK in 2010.
Yeah.
What was he like even back then?
Even back then, you could see it. You could see this kind of personality, this cheeky charm, this playful energy. He really stood out, even in a house full of big personalities.
Right, because Big Brother's like,
You got to be big to stand out.
exactly, you're with all these other people who are also trying to...
Get that camera time.
Exactly.
He was definitely playing to the cameras even then, and it got him evicted, actually.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was bending the rules a little too much for Big Brother's liking.
Oh, interesting.
But I think it actually endeared him to a certain segment of the audience.
Right, because they like
The rule breaker.
the bad boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So
okay.
even back then, there were signs of what was to come.
Yeah, I mean, that savvy for the camera, that definitely helped him when he launched his YouTube channel.
Oh, absolutely. He was made for YouTube.
Yeah, and this was right when YouTube was really starting to take off, especially for pranksters and challenge videos.
He was the Wild West back then.
It was-
Still is.
It was like the golden age of YouTube in a lot of ways.
And he was right there at the forefront of it.
Yeah, and his early content was kind of a mix of like lighthearted stuff and then also some more daring stunts.
Yeah, he'd do things like draw on his housemates while they were sleeping or jump over cars in Greece with his friends.
That sounds fun.
It was all very high energy, very much pushing the boundaries even then.
Right.
And it clearly resonated with a younger audience.
Yeah, they loved it.
They ate it up.
Yeah, okay, so he's got this audience, he's got this momentum, he's kind of building this brand of like the prankster.
The ultimate prankster.
Yeah, and that's where things start to,
Take a turn.
yeah, they get a little
Messy.
messy. In 2014, he releases this prank called the fake hand-ass pinch prank.
This is the one everyone remembers.
Yes, this is the infamous one,
Right.
and the internet basically exploded.
Immediate backlash. I mean, people were furious.
Yeah, I mean, understandably so.
Yeah, so in the video, he's approaching women on the street,
Random women
random women, and he appears to be groping them.
with this like prosthetic hand.
Yeah, he's got this prosthetic hand hidden under his sweatshirt.
And obviously, these women have no idea what's going on.
They're terrified, they're shocked, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, and people were accusing him of sexual harassment, normalizing assault. I mean, it was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal, and it wasn't just like random people on Twitter, even big YouTubers were calling him out.
Yeah, like Lassie Green, Tyler Oakley, they all condemned his actions.
And Hank Green, one of the founders of VidCon, actually said publicly that Pepper was not welcome at future events.
Wow, so they were like really taking a stand.
Yeah, they were not messing around.
Wow, so what was Pepper's response to all this?
Well, this is where it gets even more strange. His initial response was that it was a social experiment.
A social experiment.
Yeah, he claimed that he was trying to raise awareness of male victims of domestic abuse.
Oh, con.
Yeah, it was a flimsy defense at best, and it really didn't fly with anyone.
No. I mean, it just sounded like a really bad excuse.
It really did.
Committed?
And then he even went on to say that someone was spoofing his email, sending messages from his account, trying to make him look bad.
Oh, so he was like trying to,
Deflect blame.
yeah, deflect blame, saying it wasn't even him.
Yeah.
But eventually he admitted that the prank was fake.
He came clean.
Yeah, and that he had lied about his intentions.
So that begs the question, why lie in the first place?
Yeah, why dig yourself a deeper hole? Why not just come out and say it was fake from the beginning?
Exactly. It suggests a real disconnect between what he was doing and the impact it was having.
Or maybe he understood the impact all too well.
That's the cynical view.
Yeah, and was just trying to protect his image and his income.
Because controversy sells.
Oh, yeah.
It gets those views.
And the views equal dollars.
Exactly. So maybe he knew exactly what he was doing.
Maybe it was all calculated from the beginning.
It's hard to know for sure.
That's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
We're just getting started.
Exactly. We're just scratching the surface here. There's a lot more to uncover, so stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more of our deep dive into the world of Sam Pepper.
And then the allegations started coming out.
Yeah, this is where things took a really dark turn.
This is where it went from, like, pranks and bad taste to something much more serious.
Yeah, multiple women came forward with allegations of sexual assault and rape against Pepper.
And these allegations were detailed and disturbing.
Yeah, they painted a very different picture of him than the one he was presenting online.
One woman who chose to remain anonymous told BuzzFeed News that Pepper had invited her to his hotel room while on tour, and she said when she got there, he laughed, pinned her down, and assaulted her.
It's just awful to even think about.
It is, and there were other stories too. Another woman who was only 19 at the time claimed that Pepper assaulted her in his Toronto hotel room back in 2013.
So this was even before the ass-pinching prank.
Exactly. It seems like this behavior had been going on for a while.
And she said he had messaged her on Facebook and invited her to a Sammy Adams concert, and she felt pressured to go.
Like she couldn't say no.
Right, because everyone was talking about it and telling her that Pepper would be there.
So she felt like she had to go.
It's so manipulative.
It is. It's a complete abuse of power.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Pepper denied all of these allegations.
He vehemently denied everything.
And no charges were ever filed.
That's right. But the damage was already done. His reputation was in tatters.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically canceled overnight.
He was dropped from conventions. He lost lucrative brand deals. He became a symbol of everything wrong with online fame.
It seemed like this was the end of the road for him.
You would think so, right? But then he did something even more bizarre.
What did he do?
He launched a GoFundMe campaign.
A GoFundMe? What for?
To delete his channel.
Wait, so he was asking people to pay him to delete his channel?
Yep, for $1.5 million.
$1.5 million to delete his channel.
That was the asking price?
What was he thinking?
It seemed like a desperate attempt to regain control of the narrative, to turn his cancellation into a money-making opportunity.
Oh, wow. So he was like trying to capitalize on the whole cancel culture thing?
Exactly, but it backfired spectacularly. The campaign was quickly shut down, and people saw it as just another example of his manipulative tactics.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to make light of a very serious situation.
It was tone-deaf, to say the least.
So this whole thing really brings up a question we've been wrestling with throughout this deep dive. Is there a point where someone crosses the line from being provocative to actively exploiting their audience?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, because up until this point, you could maybe argue that Pepper was just pushing boundaries, trying to be shocking and entertaining, however misguided that might have been.
Right, like he was just a prankster taking things too far.
But this GoFundMe stunt, it felt different.
It felt calculated, cynical, exploitative.
Yeah, like he was seeing how far he could push his audience before they finally turned away.
And it brings us back to that core question, grifter or gifted. Is this someone with genuine talent who's just lost their way, or is this someone who's always been a manipulator at heart?
Right, and it's hard to know for sure because the lines can be so blurry, especially online.
They really can, and in Pepper's case, it seems like those lines got blurred very early on.
So did his audience finally turn away after the GoFundMe debacle?
Not quite. In 2016, he released a long apology video.
An apology video? What did he say?
He admitted that many of his pranks were fake.
So he was finally coming clean.
He was, and he deleted all of his tweets, went silent on social media for a while. It seems like he was trying to disappear.
Do you think it was a genuine apology?
It's hard to say. Some people believed him, others felt it was too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty long time coming.
It was. But one thing was clear, Sam Pepper wasn't going down without a fight.
And he didn't. He resurfaced on TikTok in 2020.
He did. He was posting life hacks and stunts, rarely showing his face, hoping maybe people wouldn't recognize him.
Trying to reinvent himself.
Exactly, but the internet never forgets.
No, it doesn't.
His past controversies continue to follow him, and his attempts to rebrand himself as a more wholesome creator were met with skepticism.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just erase the past that easily.
And then, as if we needed further proof that Sam Pepper couldn't stay out of trouble, he got caught up in the Save the Kids cryptocurrency scandal in 2021.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about
Yeah.
that. What happened there?
He was working with FaZe Clan, a popular esports and entertainment organization, and was accused of taking advantage of fans and investors.
So basically scamming people.
Essentially, Fraser Kay, another content creator involved in the scheme, claims that Pepper made $1 million from the token and then vanished.
Wow, so he just took the money and ran.
That's what it looks like. Kay publicly denounced Pepper's involvement and vowed to never work with him again.
Yeah, I can't imagine wanting to work with him after that.
This incident seemed to confirm what many people already suspected. Sam Pepper was willing to exploit anyone and anything for personal gain.
It's a pretty damning pattern of behavior.
It is, and as if that wasn't enough, in 2023, he was arrested in Australia for a staged prank involving an escort and another streamer, Ice Poseidon.
What? Another prank gone wrong.
You could say that the intent was to make it look like Poseidon was soliciting sex work,
Oh my God.
but the prank went horribly wrong and they were both temporarily arrested for sexual assault.
Are you serious?
I am. Although the charges were later dropped, this incident raised serious questions about Pepper's judgment and his persistent need to push the boundaries of acceptable behavior.
That's like he never learns.
It's like he's addicted to the drama, to the outrage. Every time he seems to fade away, he finds a new way to insert himself back into the conversation, even if it means putting himself and others at risk.
So after all of this, where do we even begin to answer the question of grifter or gifted?
That's the challenge, isn't it? We've laid out the facts, we've examined the pattern of behavior, and now it's time to grapple with the big question. Is Sam Pepper a visionary or a con artist?
So we got through a lot with Sam Pepper.
We have a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns.
From Big Brother to the YouTube pranks to the really serious allegations.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. And through it all, we keep coming back to this question. Is he a visionary or is he a con artist? Is he pushing boundaries or is he just exploiting people?
It's a tough one.
It's really tough. Because on the one hand, he's obviously charismatic. He's got that something that draws people in.
He knows how to connect with an audience.
He does. He's a natural in front of the camera.
And he knows how to create those viral moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then there's this other side.
The dark side.
Yeah. The side that's willing to cross ethical lines. The side that seems to revel in controversy.
And that's where it gets tricky because it feels like there's this genuine talent there.
Yeah, like a spark of something.
Exactly. But it's constantly being overshadowed by this need for attention, this need for validation, no matter the cost.
It's almost like he's addicted to the drama,
Maybe he is.
to the outrage.
Because every time he seems to fade away, he finds a new way to insert himself back into the conversation.
Right. Even if it means resorting to more and more shocking tactics.
Which is why he's such a perfect case study for this show.
For grifter or gifted?
Exactly, because he really embodies this tension between genuine talent and calculated exploitation.
Right. It's like he's both.
He is. He's a master manipulator. There's no doubt about that.
He knows how to play the game.
But he's also undeniably skilled at creating content that gets people talking, even if it's for the wrong reasons.
So how do we reconcile those two sides of him? How do we decide whether he's ultimately a force for good or just a cautionary tale about the dangers of online fame?
I think the answer lies in looking beyond the surface.
Beyond the pranks and the controversies.
Exactly, and really examining the impact of his actions.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about whether he's entertaining or whether he's making money.
It's about whether he's contributing something positive to the world.
And I think based on the evidence we've seen today, that's highly debatable.
I would agree. His pranks have caused real harm to the people involved and to the online community as a whole.
He's normalized behaviors that are just not okay.
Harmful, disrespectful.
And he's repeatedly shown that he doesn't really care about the well-being of others.
That's the part that's really hard to stomach.
It is, and it's important to remember that words and actions have consequences.
Especially when you have a platform as big as Sam Pepper's.
Right? He might see himself as an artist or provocateur, but the reality is that his actions have hurt people.
They've left a trail of victims and damaged relationships.
So is there any hope for redemption for someone like Sam Pepper? Can he ever really change his ways and use his platform for good?
That's a question only he can answer.
But I think we can all agree that actions speak louder than words.
If he wants to be seen as a visionary, as someone who's genuinely trying to make a difference, he needs to show it.
He needs to take responsibility for the harm he's caused and prove that he's committed to change.
And that change needs to be more than just surface level.
It needs to be a real fundamental shift in his values,
Yeah.
in his priorities.
He needs to understand the impact of his actions on others.
Yeah, and ultimately it's up to each individual to decide whether they believe he's capable of that.
But based on his history, I think it's fair to be skeptical.
I think that's a fair assessment. So there you have it, folks. We've presented the evidence, we've explored the complexities, and now it's your turn to decide, grifter or gifted. What's your verdict on Sam Pepper? Let us know in the comments. And remember, the next time you encounter a controversial figure online, ask yourself those same questions. Are they using their platform for good? Are they contributing something positive to the world? Because at the end of the day, it's up to us, the audience, to hold these creators accountable and demand better from those who seek to influence and entertain us. That's all for this week's Deep Dive. We'll see you next time on Grifter or Gifted.